Oh my god. What is going on, my fellow nerds? Operator Otter here. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I don't think it's gonna get much better if you are a Necromancer main. I don't know what to do. I'm sorry. I don't know. Necro was already literally one of the worst classes. It's been one of the worst classes in the game since release. And why? What is going on? What is the thought process? What happened? What do we need to do? Do we need to raise our voices louder? Do we need to like raise the pitchforks and the torches? Like, what is going on? All right. If you don't know what I'm talking about, so Adam Fletcher just released a Twitter that stated that they're making some changes to some of the legendary powers and the legendary aspects that are coming into season 5, except that it's only 2 that are being modified. So let's talk about them. Creeping Death. Dot damage is increased by 50% for each different crowd control effect on the target. Unstoppable monsters and staggered bosses automatically take 150% bonus dot damage. This basically made up for the Wither nerf, because Wither is now capped at 1200, which means that Wither only has a 25% chance of proccing, and it only gives 130% multiplier to the dots. But in Season 4, you could get this up to the points where we were averaging around 47% chance for Wither to proc, and we would get about 230 to 240% multiplicative damage to the dot when they ticked. That was huge. They are nerfing that to where now 1200 intelligence is the cap. And we're like, oh god, okay, that really kills the build. And then on top of that, they completely gutted Blighted. Now, if you don't know what Blighted is, let's talk about that. So what Blighted is that it is an aspect that states that you get it's actually 120% originally. This is on a two-handed weapon, so it's double. 240% multiplicative to all of your damage when the Shadow Blight key passive damages enemies 10 times. And the Shadow Blight key passive is stating that when you afflict a target with shadow damage 10 times, they are going to be affected by Shadow Blight. So if you were against a single target, you needed to basically deal 100 instances of shadow damage for Shadow Blight to come online, or the Blighted aspect. And when this came online, all of your damage is multiplied by 240%. And basically a multitude of Necromancer builds were utilizing this because it was the most powerful multiplier in our entire kit. Well, not a lot of Necros like that. I didn't like that. Not a lot of people, and I guess the devs didn't like it either. And we all agreed. Using a shadow ability to then multiply generally all of our damage was not a great feeling. And so they nerfed it. They gutted it into the ground, but they didn't really give any compensatory buffs. They said they did. They didn't. It is not even close. It was a huge nerf. Okay, so now we go back to the patch notes. Creeping Death, with the fact that Blighted got nerfed and Wither got nerfed, meant that the dot damage builds are now dealing like 10 to 15% of the damage they were doing. I know that sounds extreme, but it kind of feels that way, right? Because we're losing out on that intelligence and the Wither scaling and the Blighted scaling. Everything is getting nerfed. And so what this does is it says, hey, we're going to multiply your damage by a factor of 3 for the most part, because you can apply a multitude of crowd control effects, and then against the boss, you're going to get multiplied by a factor of 2.5. And we're like, hey, great. This is a step in the right direction. Fantastic. This helps one of the things going away, whether it be Wither or whether it be Blighted. This makes up for one of them. Well, guess what? Chuck Testa, they are actually completely changing that now. So now Creeping Death is only doing 20% for each crowd control effect, and it's 40% against the unstoppable monsters or staggered bosses. Massive nerf. Massive, massive. It goes from 200% to 80%. It goes from 150% to 40% because we can reliably put on about 4 crowd control effects onto a target in an instance. Massive. But then moving on, to make matters even worse, if we go down to the Necromancer, check this out. Great Feast. Each minion drains 2 essence per second, but deals 125% bonus damage. With no minions, this bonus damage applies to you and only drains 5 essence per second. Oh, this means that if we put it into a two-handed sword, or a two-handed weapon, I should say, it gives us 250% multiplicative damage to all of our damage, but it drains 5 essence per second. This was to make up for Blighted being nerfed. That means we could actually not only be as good, but with Creeping Death, Shadow Dot builds could actually be stronger than they were in Season 4. Nope, Chuck Testa, they decided to take that one away as well. If we go down and we look at the of Great Feast, it is now 1 essence per second that deals 45% damage. That means it's a 90% damage multiplier in our two-handed slot. Are you kidding me? What? Why? Dude, this is like, I'm trying to stay positive here. Like, I'm trying to back up this, but I gotta be honest. I'm sorry. I hope I don't, like, they don't hate me for this, but this is almost like to the level of incompetence. I don't, how, why, oh my God. Anyways, if you're playing a Necromancer, just play Bone Spirit, guys. Bone Spirit, we know, is going to be really, really good. But basically every other build now, these two aspects were, legendary aspects were basically going to be the saving grace for Necromancer, and they just gutted them into the dirt, and I don't know why. So, that's all I have for you. Try to have as positive a day as you can. Operator Otter out.